Let's just take a look at this now. Points per game under Roman Abramovich. Of all the managers, the lowest now is Frank Lampard, 1.67. Now, it's going to be skewed in other ways. Mourinho had far more games than any other manager, of 212 for Chelsea in the league. But Villas-Boas only had 27 games in charge before he got the sack. Rafa Benitez just at 26. But every single manager has been able to achieve a higher points per game ratio than Frank Lampard has. Let's not forget the money that was spent by him in the summer as well. Huge expenditure, an expectation for the Chelsea legend to become an even bigger legend at the club as a manager. But Chelsea have 3 points fewer after 17 league games than they did last season. And in the Premier League era, the Blues have never finished higher. They've never finished higher than 6th place when amassing a maximum of 20 points at this stage of a campaign. On that track record, Mario, that means Chelsea wouldn't qualify for the Champions League next year unless they win the Champions League trophy come May. So, how much pressure is he in now? Because I asked you at the start of the show. Since then, they've gone and lost 3-1. Although that scoreline, you could say, is also flattering for Chelsea. Is the pressure now truly on?
No, look, one key thing people have to understand. Before the game, I said this was going to be a difficult game for Chelsea. I didn't expect Chelsea, you understand. If I had to pick one side, of course, you know, I always support Chelsea, will. But I always said this was going to be a tough game. Why this was going to tough me? Because if City turns up, and even if Chelsea would turn up at this state, I would always say, like, City will win. The only thing why I wanted Chelsea to win, I thought if they turn up and City have an off day, they will really, really give them a hard time. And that's what I was hoping for. Okay, that doesn't happen. So now I feel like Chelsea had looked at this game. Frank looked at this game. The way he was talking, he said, we're going through a test. Okay, the only key question now is, how long will this test take? And how long are they willing to give him to make this test happen? And I feel like after it's the crucial period comes right after games like this. When you play against the big ones, you may be off. You understand? Like, you could see, like, okay, the difference is kind of like slightly, or it's a big difference. But against so with all the respect, smaller teams, you really have to perform, because if not, you get yourself in trouble. It's not you're going to get the team only in trouble, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So that is what I feel like Chelsea really has to worry, you know, making sure that that doesn't happen. And they just perform really well in the games that come after the big ones like they did today with City.
See, that seems like a very sensible explanation. But again, I want to get you in on this as well. I'm looking at the historical side of Roman Abramovich, because he hasn't been afraid to get his axe out and say, sorry, see you later, move on to the next manager, and it'll probably be Gus Hiddink as an interim coach until they find somebody.
Well, I think from what I've heard from Frank, it just gives me reassurance that he's got plenty of time. Plenty of time. Of course, you know, if at the end of the season he's finishing and he's 15th, then yes, something's going to happen. But if he's there and about, you know, I think they're really into a rebuilding process. What I'm hearing from Frank is really that he's confident. They have plans. They're on the way. They know what they're doing. They expect to do great things, but they don't expect to overplay City. They don't expect to overplay Liverpool. That's how I feel. I feel like that. And from the signing they've done, you know, they didn't go and buy a top player already mature, playing the best of his capacity. No, they went to get young players who did well in their previous club, but that have room to improve, and they want to improve those players. They have a group of players that will improve altogether. I would say that they still need maybe 2 or 3 players, you know. I would say they still need a centre-back, a top centre-back, someone like Kompany or Van Dijk. You know, I think that's important to have someone with big authority. They need a striker. They have it. They signed him this summer. He needs to start to score goals if he's the one they're going to use. But I'm really confident with what they're going to do and what Frank is going to do.
But you see, but Gael, the thing is, you're saying you were confident in what Frank Lampard is saying. But the problem is, it's not up to Frank Lampard to be sacked at Chelsea. Managers, Gus Poyet got sacked live on TV in England when he was at one of his former clubs. Slaven Bilic recently found out from one of his assistants on the team bus as they were leaving Manchester to go back to West Brom that he was sacked.
You know, I think it's a different situation. And when you look at the list of all the managers that Chelsea got rid of, you know, it was a different period. It was a period when they had DJ Drogba, when they had big players, big expectation. I think the situation is different. The situation is, of course, we're expecting Chelsea to compete. But right now, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't believe that they're really going for the title. I think they're going for improvement. They're going to build that and as close as possible at the end of the season. But I don't believe they're going for the title. They want to get there, obviously. But if we are honest, I think they're really far away from City and from Liverpool in terms of quality, in terms of squad, and in terms of experience. That's how I believe. So I think he has time.
But if there's going to be improvement then, Mario, based on what Gail's saying, what is the standard of improvement? What should be the benchmark? Because they got Champions League football. They qualified for it last year. Now, if they're going to go challenge for the title, what are we talking about? Second place, third place, fourth at the bare minimum? Because as it stands, they've never finished higher than 6 after this amount of points at 17 games. That would be a drop.
So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Look, you know, I had the time when I went to Chelsea, and I had a look at them when I went to the training ground. And I looked at everything that they were building. And one of the key things what they were bringing up was Champions League football. That was one of the key things that the club wanted. And it actually is also a normality. You know, when you're a big club, you need to go after Champions League football every season. So those are the kind of things that's almost a must for Frank. It's not like, look, winning the league now, I don't think this will be, you know, like fair to say straight away that he's going to win it. Also because he got first season, the ban. Second season, bring in the players. I know people want to say, I want him to win the league. Yeah, but I think that is a little bit too far off. But after this season, if he, like, I don't want to quote because we all know how Roman is, but him pushing it back to the final and to the season, he has to make sure that he gets the team into the Champions League. And after that, if he gets his team into the Champions League, I'm going to be honest, then it becomes a crucial test for him. I don't think the test already started right today. I think the test was only to see how far off am I from City. They explained it to him. He saw it. I think tactically and the intelligence that Pep brought to the game, I don't think Frank... I think he knew about it, but I think he still got surprised by it because I don't think his players and himself had a quick enough answer to really bounce back onto this game. So that's why I'm feeling like this was a test, and now I want to see how he reacts to the test. If he doesn't have a good reaction, then it becomes a crucial aspect because now people are going to ask, okay, what is your answer? If you don't have an answer to a test like Pep Guardiola and all the games that come after that, now we have a problem. So then I expect them to bring that up.
There are reports going around right now from an extremely reputable and professional news outlet that came out moments after the final whistle saying that his job is under threat. It is under serious threat. There's a possibility he could see out the season, but that Chelsea will be looking elsewhere come the summer. So do you believe any of that's true?
No, I think they will definitely let him finish the season because I don't think... Look, when you go after a new manager, most of the time, okay, hey, I'm talking about, look, I can never say because I'm not at that, like, sitting on a desk. But one thing I can tell you is that you normally try to change things before the busy period comes. Because when you do it after the busy period, you might as well run it out to the end. So I don't like bringing up sacks or managers are leaving. No, I don't like that. And especially when it comes to Frank, I want him to get a fair opportunity because most of the big clubs, when you talk about a Liverpool, a Man United, even a City, it takes time. They don't want to give them time. I understand that, but it takes a little bit of time. We all know the historical, you understand, one of the greatest ones that's been in the game for so long. And I want to just mention his name because he was one of the greats, Alex Ferguson. But it took him a long time because we all know that he was coming close to firing. So when we go back to Chelsea, that is a similar situation. You got to be careful because let him run, let him see what he can do after this. If Frank does not bounce back from this situation that happened today, yes, they can now pull him up and say to him, listen, you got to have an answer to this. If you don't have an answer, then maybe you understand we have to consider something else. But I don't think that's the time yet, regardless of what the news I'm hearing.
OK, well, for those who are wondering, it's Chelsea taking on Morecambe. That's an FA Cup encounter. Then they've got Fulham away, a London derby. They've got Leicester away, and then they've got Wolves, Burnley, and another London derby against Tottenham to round up the rest of the month. Final question on this topic, rather, Gail, on Frank Lampard. Do you think the players have failed him? Do you think they haven't done enough? Because I'm thinking back to some of their previous performances, and I'm remembering the words which Frank Lampard used. Lethargic was one term he said to describe his players in the Arsenal game. Now, there's two ways of looking at it. One is, isn't the manager's job to ensure that they're not lethargic? Do footballers really go out onto a pitch, a London derby, lethargic? Or did the players let him down in that situation? Gail, you're taking this first, and I want to know what Mario thinks as well.
I think he explained it quite well. I think it's two different scenarios, and I think, of course, you go into a derby and you will hope that your player get the motivation without and regardless what you're telling them. But it can happen. I'm not saying it should happen, but I'm saying that it can happen. You know, it could be that 2 or 3 elements within the squad were not ready for it, and it just rubs off everybody else. It can happen. It happens every day and every weekend. Now, what I've seen today is a different story. Today, they've been outplayed individually, collectively, tactically, and in terms of quality, City were way better. I'm not saying that they will finish above Chelsea at the end of the season, but right now, I think the Arsenal game and the City game are totally two things that you have to put aside. Character has been questioned against Arsenal. The manager said it. Today is more about what I do with my team, because Chelsea, Arsenal was probably responsibility from the players, but today it's as much the manager as the player. I think they look lost on the pitch. He said it, especially the first half. It's not a question of desire. It's purely a question of what do we do and how do we cope with the way City are moving, are playing, the tempo, the aggressivity. This was quality. Those 45 minutes were quality. You have to give that. The reaction was better in second half, but I think for me, that's two different scenarios. So the players on one side, and today, like he said, it will be his questioning the players, but the player will want from him to give them more weapon for the next game.
Mario.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I already highlighted. I said, like, look, when it comes down, when a team is lost in a game, it comes down to the tactical aspect that you discuss with your team. And knowing that how Pep is, because some of the system that Pep is using, I never played under him, but I played under the people that was highlighted. Like, I'll give an example. One of his mentors, the people that Johan Cruyff trained me, was at a game. I know exactly how that system works, how they want to play. And when I watch City play football, it's no different to it. What Gail said, the triangle that we made, at Ajax, the triangle has to work on every part of the field. If you don't have a triangle, they feel like it does not work. That's exactly how Ajax plays football. So knowing that, so what I said is that tactically, I felt the surprise was too big in a crucial game like this. So I think they have to look at that. When it comes to players in a derby game, when you play against a team like Arsenal, you don't need no motivation from your coach. That's wrong. Because I had never needed the motivation from my coach to play a derby game. And what was my first? I was, 18 or something? I played against Feyenoord here with Ajax, but I'm talking about when I came to London. Even if Arsenal was a great side, and I knew that there was a tough task for me to win that game, but I didn't need no motivation. You got players like what we just talked about, people like Thierry Henry, Bergkamp, Kanu. I don't need to motivate me. I already know I'm going to play against the top boys. So that's what I'm saying. When it comes to Arsenal, that is one thing. I don't think they need to look at the manager like in sense of motivation. When it comes to this game, when they look lost, yes. Then I look at him and I say, hey, what is your answer to making sure that nobody feels lost? And I felt like like how Gail said it, and I said it before, the answer took them way too long. And the moment when they tried to work on the answer was the second half, the game was already done. It was a 3-0 game. Frank said it himself. The goals came too fast. And when goals come too fast, as a player, as a defender, you already know you don't want to get embarrassed. And I think Chelsea was playing more the second half to not getting embarrassed. It was not about, winning the game because they already knew that that game was lost.
Wow, a lot to think about there.